Hi, welcome to Inside the Moms Club, where being a mom is the coolest place to be. Here in the Moms Club, we believe that what embarrasses you now will make a great story later. And let's face it, if you don't laugh sometimes, you're going to cry. Join us in having a good laugh together. I'm Monica Samuels. You are now inside the Moms Club, your private destination for all things mom. Welcome, moms. Welcome to Inside the Moms Club. I'm your host, Monica Samuels, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Julie Orchid.
Hi, how are you?
I'm terrific. Now, I don't get to see much of you lately because your youngest daughter is graduating from high school.
Yes, it's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things happening. And like I said last year, we've done the podcast for a little bit. May is not really what I would. It's the busiest month for a mom. So it's mom madness. May is mom madness. So I have been MIA. So, but it doesn't mean I haven't been thinking about you.
I know. Well, we did, and you're right about May. I think that's why they put Mother's Day in May, and kind of like sort of closer to the middle.
I don't think they should.
So while
do
you're
that.
feeling stressed, you're like, I'm so unappreciated. This is terrible. Then, they drop you flowers, rose, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, hey, I got 15 minutes for you on Sunday. Do you want to get ice cream? I don't know. It's fine. I'm not complaining.
So, and you've got what, prom? Or did that already happen?
I have prom, and this pre-prom party is over the top. We threw a party last Sunday night that went till 1 a.m, and it was Greek themed. So I was feeling a little crazy dressed like that. The boys were in togas. It was a lot. But it's so fun. And you think about when they're like this short period of time. I have 2 daughters. They're both amazing. But you think about like you've spent so much time being a mom, and then you are flying the nest. And what are we going to do?
Yep. So you'll be an empty nester.
I mean, you're trying to be an empty nester.
Well, yeah.
The youngest one just doesn't.
He got an apartment,
but he doesn't.
And his
sleep
things are there, but he's not. He's still with me, which I love.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I reached out for help to find out what I'm going to do next.
Well, it is interesting because like our friend Jennifer, last year she was lamenting, what am I going to do with all this time? And now she's traveling all over the place. You never see her. She was in California last week, and now she's in Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, she never stays home. So
I don't know. I think that really you have
do?
to reach, you have to go back to who you are as a person, and what do you love that brings you joy, and what do you want to pursue, and have some, I had a lot of fun raising the kids, but what are you going to do when they're not around? So, as my daughter told me yesterday, who you'll see today, she was like, maybe you just don't understand when I don't have a lot of time off, and like letting me know what adulthood is alike. And I was like, been there, know exactly what you're saying. So, but I'm grateful to see her. But you want to hear what I'm doing Wednesday?
Oh, yeah.
I actually hired a medium psychic.
Whoa.
I did. It's not the first time I've done this.
Last time we were here, some psychic sought you out at a restaurant.
Yeah, I was like, don't look at me. I can feel the hair on
you had some light shining on your head or something like that. And gave you a card, and her name was Clairvoyant Monica.
It was so crazy. I was like, Monica, look at her name.
Yeah, that was...
And she was like, I don't know what it is, but you need to call me. And I haven't forgotten about her. But I didn't hire her. I hired this other lady out of Austin because I like to do things face to face. I love good conversation. I like to pick up on people's body language, like what you're doing right now with your why, Julie?
Oh, sorry.
No.
How do you hire a psychic? Like, how do you pick between...
You pay her money?
No, I know that. And how do you choose?
Well, you actually get a reference from somebody who's been to someone, because there's a lot of fakers out there. And so I wanted somebody authentic. So I really researched her and 2 or 3 people that have been to her. I'm just excited. I mean, who knows? Obviously, I need help to figure out what my next act is, or how I want to recreate or go back to what I was doing. By trade, I'm a nurse. And so do I want to travel? Do I want to do another mission trip? that's a lot longer? Do I want to find a talent, which I'm 54. I still haven't found what that talent is. But
well, what if she says, it's pole dancing is really your talent? I mean,
well,
you know what? You do whatever she says.
Maybe I'm good at it, Monica, and you just don't know.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the kids would have appreciated that when they were younger. This is what my mom
Good luck
does.
with this.
Thank you. I'll
goes
let you
for
know. I'll report back.
Theory, you do you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You seem to have it all figured out, though.
Oh, I do. Of course. Well, I don't need that. I already know what
I don't know. I think raising kids, you take a little break, you take a little stop, and we have somebody today who knows a little bit about doing it all.
She does. Let's get right to it.
I know.
Our guest
super
today
stoked.
is an Australian-born, Texas-based singer-songwriter who has a new single out, Take Me Back to Texas.
Yes.
So we're both Texans. We're very excited about that, which was co-written with Grammy Award-winning Jessie Jo Dillon and Karen Rochelle, who is Garth Brooks' longtime harmony singer.
Yep.
After taking a few years off to focus on her family, business, and personal growth, our guest is making her return to the country music scene with this heartfelt anthem, blending nostalgia and her deep love for her Texas roots. Please welcome Shea Fisher. Welcome to the Moms Club. Welcome, Shea. And we forgot to mention.
Thank you for having me. What an introduction. Wow.
Yes. Well, I'm known for my introduction. So welcome. But I left out, you have 3 children? Is that right?
Yes. So I have a 8 going on 13-year-old. I have a 6-year-old and I have a 3.5-year-old. So I have two girls and a boy.
Oh, wow.
Wild times, right?
And
Yes, it keeps me really busy. I mean, I really don't, honestly, I don't need sleep much. I just never have. And that I'm really lucky because if I needed to sleep, I'd be in trouble because I go to bed about midnight every night and I'm up. I mean, obviously the kids can't use their own toilets. They have to come to my bathroom to go potty.
Of course.
So I'm up multiple times a night still. I was like, I thought when they reach 2 or 3, you're meant to sleep again. And that's just not the case. But it is okay because I love coffee and I do just fine.
I love it.
Well, good. Well, so let's start. I want to hear about your journey because it started in Australia. So tell us about growing up in Australia and how you went from Australia to Texas and a music career.
Story.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try and keep it short because can get long-winded. So originally I'm from Australia, even though my accent now is just a little bit confused. People have no clue where I'm from most of the time. Right. But lived in Australia. My parents are both Australian champion rodeo athletes. My dad was an Australian champion bull rider. My mom was an Australian champion barrel racer. So from the time I was born, we were out competing on the road, on the rodeo circuit. And when I always liked music. I was very outgoing as a child. When I was 9 years old, my parents actually moved to the U.S. then. My dad was on the professional bull riding tour, and he was 40 years old, still rodeoing on the pro circuit, which was super inspiring as a kid. So we lived here in the U.S. for a couple of years. That's kind of where I first got my introduction to Texas. And then we moved home to Australia when I was nearly 12 years old. Went back to normal life there, rodeoing the things we always did. I started entering some talent quests, but honestly, I never won. I don't know if I sounded different. I looked different. Everything I did was different. I didn't like it. But I will say that my parents always taught me as a little girl that being different is what makes you unique. So that actually kind of drove me. Even as a 12, 13-year-old girl, that made me be like, okay, clearly I'm not going to win here, but I still need to enter for the exposure and the practice. But it didn't cut me deep that they thought I sucked. I didn't care. So then I just decided I'd start to sing the national anthem at rodeos. And that's what I did. We'd be competing at the rodeos. I'd be singing the national anthem on a horse. And when I was 14 years old, this is back in Australia, I still remember it like it was yesterday. I was at a rodeo and there's a big tour bus that pulls in. And I said, and a big stage gets set up and there was a big country music concert going on. I said to my dad, I was like, you think I can go knock on that tour bus door and just see who it is and see if they need a support act? And obviously most parents would be like, you're crazy. You're 14 years old. Yeah. This is not going to go to plan. But my dad's like, sure, what's the worst thing the person can say? No.
Yeah.
So security was a lot less back then. And I did it. Knocked on the tour bus door. The gentleman came to the door. His name was Steve Ford. He was a famous singer in Australia. And of course, I led off with the line of, "Hi, I'm Shea, and my dad's Eddie Fisher, Australian champion bull rider," because I had to have a little bit of like recognition. And I was like, "Do you have a support act?" And he was like, "Well, my support act actually got sick."
Wow.
And he's like, "But where's your band?" And I was like, "Well, I had karaoke tracks." So he was so nice. He agreed to let me perform before him, but he put me on 2 hours before he went on, and there was like 3 people in the crowd, and my parents were 2 of them.
That's okay.
But I performed like there was 10,000 people.
Yep.
And he actually must have been watching me from his tour bus. And he actually found my parents after he got off stage that night and asked them if I wanted to do the next shows with him, because the country music concert was following these big rodeos that we were competing at. And so my parents let me continue on the road with him. And after about 3 or 4 shows, he asked my parents if he could be my manager. And if he asked me to be on his Australian tour. And I'm telling you, like, I didn't grow up musical. I was probably, I don't know, I just did not have the experience most people did. But I was willing to work hard. And he took me on his Australian tour. At the time, I didn't have any original songs, so I would just sing all the songs. And get this, his crowd was, I'm 14, keep in mind. His crowd are like drinking, partying, having a good time. And I'm this little 14, 15-year-old girl up on stage singing like, "I'm here for the party of Gretchen Wilson." I've never even had a beer. Like, never even... just having to play all these songs that people at a bar would want to listen to. And I listen now, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my parents let me sing this stuff. What was I singing about? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But we wrote my first album together. And then my parents and my manager actually paid for my first album together. We flew to Nashville, recorded it, went home. And then I got signed to a major record label, which was wild because it wasn't like the US where there's like a bunch of labels. Record labels are few and far between in Australia. So then it just kind of, it was crazy. I mean, I came from humble beginnings, keep in mind as well. My parents worked really, really hard. They did well, but we never went without, but we did not have extra. You know, we still had to be careful about what we spent and things. But, you know, when I got that record deal, I'm finishing high school. At this time, I'm 16. I'm finishing high school. And I wasn't the cool girl at school. It's amazing when you get a record deal and you're on stage, how people want to be your friend. I was like, that's
interesting. For sure.
Nice to see you. So I was touring, finishing school. My first album, y'all, I had 3 #1 songs with my first album, which is just like mind blowing because like it just got thrown into it so fast and so fast. But my manager it helped because my manager was touring and well known. So then I was in front of big crowds from day one. Luckily I liked being on stage. So they say, you know, fake it till you make it. And I felt like I kind of was doing that the whole time, trying to like keep up with everything that was happening. And then when I was 20 years old, I remember being in Australia at a rodeo. Again, I still rodeoed even though I was singing just because it was what I liked to do when I had time off. Well, what was that?
I'm curious about. I know now we've stopped here when you're 20, so we want to go on. But I'm curious about something because I'm from Dallas, and and if you're familiar with Dallas, you know how Dallas is. Mm-hmm. And so my husband was not from Texas, so for our very first date, he was going to fly in and take me somewhere, and he thought, what better place to take a girl from Texas on her first date than the Fort Worth Rodeo? And I knew nothing about rodeo. Yeah. Like zero. And all I remember about it was there was a monkey.
Well, there's Dallas and Fort Worth.
Going around.
Big difference.
Yeah,
Big
Dallas
difference.
is very like cosmopolitan. I mean, I guess Dallas says people don't even know they're in Texas. I mean, I was stunned when I got to the University of Texas and found out, this is part of Texas. Like Dallas is Dallas. Yeah. So, but I knew nothing about the rodeo, and culturally, I mean, you grew up with the rodeo. That's when you really watch that rodeo perform, you know, what they do.
Well,
it's
not only that, but the picture of you on your website, you can ride, girl.
Up to this point, did you do rodeo too? I mean, is that part? What do you think gave you the ability to say, you know what, I can sing, I can go perform?
Yeah.
Because it takes, especially at 14 years old, to go knock on a door. You had to have a lot of inner self-confidence. Did you learn from your parents? I mean, were you part of that scene that your parents were in, and if you can rope a steer, you can sing?
I mean, I won my first barrel race when I was, I want to say I was 7, my mom said. I wasn't a horse from as far as I could remember, but as I got older, like obviously I competed. I won the rookie titles. I made the Australian national finals several times in barrel racing and breakaway roping. So honestly, my goal pre-music was to move to America and make the American NFL. Like rodeo was my passion. That's what I seen myself doing until the music opportunities came along. I actually, it's so weird to me to say, but I was actually the first girl in Australia to make the junior bull riding finals.
Okay.
Wow.
I rode junior bulls as well. I don't know why, but I did. So yes, I think I liked the challenge. I was always very sporty, athletic. Anything that seemed a little bit far-fetched for me was challenging. I wanted to try it.
Yeah.
I always had the mentality of, obviously, I didn't want to fail. I was all about winning, but I wasn't afraid to fail while I was trying to get to the winning. So, with the bull riding story always makes people chuckle because in the junior events, the boys can do the girls' events plus bull riding. So they always had an advantage with the end of the year. They have like the all-around award for the most points. And I was always winning everything I could win, but I didn't have the points from the bull riding, so I never won the all-round. And it annoyed me. And I said to my dad one summer, I said, surely, like, can I bull ride? And my dad's like, I don't know. Let's go check the rule book. So he literally went and checked the rule book. I'm 13, I think. And it doesn't say girl or boy. So my dad actually did instructionals. So he had a bucking machine at home. So that entire summer we practiced. And the very first rodeo I entered, I remember the boys looking at me and like chuckling. Like you could tell they were like, this is the dumbest thing we've ever seen. Like, what is she doing? And then I got second at the first time I entered. And then after that, the guys are all my best friends. And I was just one of the boys hanging out, behind the bucking chutes. But it was just funny because that first one, they were like, this is not going to go well. And then they got their butts kicked.
I mean, Shea, you have incredible grit. Yeah. And this is what I love about your story. So I do have a question, though. I have listened to your albums and your songs. I have a couple favorites. Take Me Back to Texas. Don't Rush is beautiful. I thought that was pretty too. And so, but your first album, did someone, who inspired this? Did someone break your heart? What is the story behind that? Because really, you have this quote that says, never too late to pursue what sets your soul on fire. And so I think that is kind of like you're going back to that, but I want to know a little bit about the history of the music and what.
Yeah. So, when I started writing my first album, I was, to be honest, 14 years old.
Yeah, you were.
I hadn't had a ton of heartbreak, but I will say you can write a heartbreak song based upon other heartbreaks. You can have heartbreaks in friendships. You can have heartbreaks in so many other areas of life. So for me, I was able to draw off those experiences. I'm not going to lie. I might not have told my parents, but obviously I had crushes when I was young and heartbreak because, they didn't want to date me, whatever. So I had experienced that. But I also was co-writing with, my manager was, he was 15 years older than me. So it was co-writing. So I was able to base a lot of experience there of like, how can we take this and turn it to this? As I grew as a songwriter, obviously my first album, I look at the songs now and I think, wow, these were kind of pretty basic. But at the time, it worked, and it's what those young girls wanted to hear. It just worked. But the more I started songwriting by album 2 and then my new music, I'm like, okay, these songs were therapeutic. I was able to write, obviously, if you're going to be in a relationship with anybody who writes songs, I'm sorry, you're going to have songs written about you.
That's right.
And I know that some of my exes are very aware. That song's specifically about me. So yes, I've used my own experiences as well as other people's experiences in life.
But I liked how you mentioned heartbreak. Like, it can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about, a girl, a boy, or, some type of love relationship. It can be about so many things in life. And so, I mean, I think that's really cool that you mentioned that. I like that.
Well, in the heartbreak aspect, drawing from your exes, like if you have really tragic, horrible things, that the beauty of that is they would never want to admit that was them, right? So you've got good material. And you don't have to worry about being sued or anything. You just go ahead and...
Well, I mean, legally you can write about whatever you want. Now, if you were going to put their name and their home address, it might be different. But, the funnest part for me was with songwriting and being creative that way. I loved making the music videos. I loved seeing the songs come to life. And you can hear a song, but then if you watch a good music video, you're like, oh, that's what they mean. That makes so much sense now. So I always would write songs thinking about, oh, this is what this music video will look like.
I love
and that was always so much fun, because I also pre-singing, I did a lot of acting. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be more in the acting roles, or if I was going to be singing. I always liked being in front of the camera. And I think it's the same thing with rodeo. I liked being on the stage, whether it's on the stage in the arena or singing or acting. That was just my personality.
Do you see yourself acting again?
I do. I do. If the opportunity came up, absolutely. Yeah. If Yellowstone calls me, which they're no longer on, but if one of their series
they might be. You don't know.
Yeah, you never know what.
No, I would be totally down for it. I used to do a lot of acting when I was younger. Nilly was on the Saddle Club, lots of shows that I had opportunities to be with. But, it's just, you kind of have to pick a path, and I couldn't do too many things. I was very, very good at athletics growing up. I got asked to train for the Olympics team when I was 14 in the 200 hurdles and triple jump. But that was the same time I was stepping into music, and I just knew that, like, committing to that to train for the Olympics, that's a 4-year commitment, and I didn't want to sprain my ankle 2 weeks before and have spent that whole 4 years of my life and not have a career to then step into. So
that's awesome.
You just you can be good at multiple things. You have to pick what you're passionate about, though, and what makes most sense.
Well, you're good at a lot of things now. So you took time off. So you got married to someone who's also in rodeo.
Yeah. So the story. So I was 20. I'll just make it super quick though. When I was 20, I got a call from a record label in America. I was not trying to get a record deal. I literally got a call from a label who had heard my songs in the studio in Nashville, because all of us Aussies go to Nashville to record.
Sure.
They heard my song, and then they called me and they asked me if I would like to fly over. They said in 2 weeks to talk about signing a record deal. And I was like, I mean, we'll go and see. So my dad, my mate flew over, sat down. They're like, okay, we're going to sign you to this record label. You have 2 weeks to fly home. We need all your band members to move to the US as well. And then you're going to start radio tour in 3 weeks. It was like that quick.
Yeah.
I was 20. And so my Aussie band, all guys, moved over. We rented a house, seven guys in it. It was great. I was such a tomboy.
Yeah.
Hit the road for 3 months touring, radio touring. My single got released to radio, was doing fabulous the first few weeks. And then my record label shuts down.
Oof. Yeah. So that's the part where you have to like pivot or understand, what are we going to do next? And honestly, like, you can do so many things. Like, I'm just like overwhelmed with everything that you mentioned. But let's talk about the hardest job of all, a mom of 3 kids.
Right. So where does that come into your story?
Yeah, where does that,
So when the record label shut down, obviously I stayed in Nashville a little bit, but I started venturing to Texas more because that felt more like home, because I had grown up there a little bit when I was younger. And then I met my husband, who is a world champion rodeo athlete, Tyson Durfee, at Houston Rodeo.
Oh, yeah.
I was doing modeling for a brand there. And I met Tyson there. And, I was, took him like a year to get my phone number. I was very, just wasn't in the headspace to want to commit to he was a good guy, a good, nice guy. And I was not used to that type of relationship. And I knew that's the marrying type. And I just couldn't commit for the first year. I was like, no, but I don't want you to leave. Like, I want you to stay there and just wait.
I want you to stay in my safety bucket until we're ready. Yeah.
And then we got married, and then we always said we wanted to wait 5 years. We waited 3, and we had our first little girl. And but my parents always told me that kids shouldn't change your life. They change. They come into your life, and they just do what y'all do if you let it happen that way. So our children have always traveled the world with us. They're international travelers. We take them everywhere. We've literally, within 8 years, and I'm not saying this is a good thing. I think it's great when people can leave their children, but we've only left our kids for 3 nights in 8 years.
I love that. So you remain a family, and you just do it your way. I mean, listen, you and Beyonce, she's traveling with these kids all over the place. And so.
It's important for me to have these memories with the kids.
Sure.
And, they're doing this. They handle it well. They know how to handle themselves in situations with, that most kids aren't allowed to go to. But don't get me wrong. My child still had to write, "I will respect my parents" 30 times on a piece of paper last week.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Oh
my God, I love that. Can I do that to my adult children?
Very
that would be.
We have great kids, but they still need to be reined back in at times.
Yeah, of course.
Well, we have some women who can relate to that.
Totally. We've got one who's doing an amazing job, Kimberly. I mean,
and let me introduce them. They are our Zoomer moms. Welcome, Zoomer moms. Welcome to the Moms
thanks
Club.
for being here.
Yeah. Well, ladies, I don't know how all of us can compete. I mean, rodeo riding and singing and acting. I mean,
but
you all are exceptional. It's not a competition. That is true. Well, let me introduce our first one. Kim, welcome to the Moms Club. Can you tell us your name, a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Kimberly. So I have a 3-year-old daughter, and then I have she's a B1 in a month. I'm trying to get her to sleep right now.
Oh, you're doing a great job. I think you've accomplished it almost.
Almost. So yeah, such an amazing story. My daughter is obsessed with horses. And so I guess, what would you recommend for a mom of a horse lover, how to get her involved in horse riding or rodeo or anything like that? If you're not from that industry, or, if you don't have any, I've ridden a horse like once or twice, but he is obsessed. So.
I mean, Kim, that's okay. Even if you're not from that, I have a lot of friends that knew nothing about horses, just love them. But, there's a lot of ability in different areas to do riding lessons now. Finding a really good group of, like a saddle club almost they have, where you can go and they own the horses. I don't recommend trying to figure out how to buy one and stable it and do all of that. It's very expensive, and there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. But taking your child and doing saddle club and different lessons like that, and if it's something that some people financially can't afford that too. And I've always had friends that are like, hey, if you're going to join this, you're going to do, these are your chores. This is the pocket money you're going to get. That's going to go towards paying for your riding lessons, because obviously it's not cheap. But I will say, having a child that is involved in horses at any point brings so much responsibility. Yeah. And I really think it's what kept me out of trouble, having that responsibility and knowing that I'm taking care of this massive animal that's listening to me. So I do think it's amazing. I would say saddle club, to start with, go to the saddle club barns and offer to help clean the stalls. Yeah. Let her just be around the horses, and then see if she wants the commitment to go riding and do all of that. But I do think that it's a good thing to have your kids in.
Yeah. Well, Julie can appreciate this too, because she loves horses. And she made me ride one when we were in England. And we have some embarrassing video of me trying to get off the horse.
I was like, Monica,
some people are good.
People are watching.
Yes,
get off the horse.
Rather shameful. It's amazing I ever got off the horse. I'm sure the horse the whole time was thinking, who put this
lady,
crazy lady on my back? Because I'd like to.
No, riding through Scotland is going to be my next trip. Yeah. So I think horses teach kids respect, and like you said, you're in charge of this large creature. You have to respect the animal, and they'll give you love back. There's so many lessons in horses. But anyway. I could go on for that, but for hours.
Janine, welcome to the Moms Club. Tell us your name and a little bit about yourself.
I'm Janine from Austin, Texas. Woo! And I am the mother of a 34-year-old and a stepmom of a 40-year-old and I have 2 grandsons.
Aw.
And when I was a kid growing up, we always had horses. So my dad had a walker, and we had basically quarter horses. We rode in the boots and saddle rodeo every Friday night, and so I did barrel and flags. So
wow. I didn't know that.
So that was my upbringing, and I was just curious about your kiddos because I'm hearing 3 things from you as far as your background, and it's horses, sports, and music. What direction do you see your kids each leaning?
That's a
do
good
they
question.
have those interests?
Great question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, I like to let our children try all different things. Obviously, you always want them to follow in your footsteps, but a lot of pressure comes with that, having to follow in the footsteps of somebody else who's had success in a different area. So honestly, if our son wants to be a baseball player, I'm totally okay with it. If he doesn't want to rodeo like my husband, I'm fine with it. But we let them try things. We let them try 2, max 3 things to juggle at a time. That's a lot. I don't want to get too many things going at once. One thing I've noticed is with horses, because we live on 60 acres, we have a barn, we have horses, but their personalities are all different. Every morning when I go ride horses, when the girls are at school, I go ride my horse because I still do compete some. I take my son with me and I lead him beside me. So he loves it. But now my oldest loves to ride, but she doesn't love the responsibility that comes with the stalls, saddling the horse, all of that. But what I try to tell her is, hey, if you don't want to do this other stuff, you don't get rewarded to go and do that. Like you have to, it's a whole package deal.
Right.
So we have one that's very invested in basketball and volleyball, and she's very good. My son, he's 3. He wants to do everything.
Yeah, of course.
And then my middle daughter, she loves horses. I could see that. But the girls, I will say the girls are very, very musical. But I try not to put too much pressure on it. But everywhere we go, before we leave someone's house, they ask if they can sing a song they wrote for the people. So they love already at 6 and 9, making everybody sit there and watch them. And these songs they write aren't just 3 minutes long.
Right, right.
And
Ballads.
You're going to get the 10-minute version.
So do you see, besides your solo career, do you see like a mother-daughter duo, just in your future? Or are you going to?
I will be the mom manager because I know the industry well enough now. I feel like, honestly, God kind of put me in the industry. I really do believe that one of my kids is going to be in that industry and I will be able to guide them and help them. Nobody wants to see, if by the time they're seeing, nobody wants to see a 50-year-old woman up there with 2 cute girls. Like, I'm going to let my girls do it. They can be a duet. And then I'll be behind the scenes being their manager /
right.
I don't know, stylist, whatever that looks like. But obviously I'll be involved if that's what they choose to do.
Yeah.
And
that's fun.
give them the opportunities where I can.
Yeah.
Abby, welcome to the Moms Club. Tell us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name's Abby. I'm from San Francisco, and I actually used to be a nanny, which was fun. And I really loved being able to give the kids back at the end of the day. That was like my favorite part about it. But I'm actually really fascinated by like the Australian country music scene and sort of like what is the difference between that and like obviously like our own country scene here in the US.
I love that.
Hey, nice to meet you. I think that's amazing that we're a nanny because obviously I can't do everything alone. So I have a fabulous friend / nanny that helps me with the kids as well. So it's such a huge role. You're raising, you're helping raise people's kids. So that's amazing. But today's time, the internet and social media have made it such a small world. So in Australia, we play a lot of American country and it's very crossover. When I first started, it was probably 70% Australian country, 30% American. But now, like currently right now on the Australian charts, I'm only with my new single, I'm one of 3 Australians that are even on the top 30 chart. That's how much American music is in Australia right now, which is great. But at the same point, I'm like, I feel like the chart should bring in more Australians personally. I feel lucky that I'm on the charts, but yeah, it's really changed a lot. We have a lot more festivals and a lot more American acts coming over.
Oh, I love that.
We've also seen a lot of Australian acts come over and sign record deals in the US and do really well. So the internet and streaming makes it just like a one world. It don't matter where you're from anymore. It's like when I was very, very Australian back in the days, I still sung with a Texan twang, which would always make people laugh in interviews. They're like, "You sound Texas, but you're Australian." I'm like, "Oh yeah."
I notice when we say the word Australia, all of a sudden your accent goes back to the country, and then like I was like, "It's yeah."
But when you're in Australia, do you say y'all?
Do you say y'all?
Have you adopted that? You got y'all. You have y'all in there?
No.
Oh well.
When I'm in Australia, I really try hard, and when I do Australian interviews, to focus on sounding Australian.
It's important.
I'm not saying people judge, but you're an Aussie, you live there for 20 years, they don't really want to hear you sounding American. And I know I have quite a strong American accent at times, so I really try and focus on over-exaggerating my Aussie-ness when I do
They want to
anything.
hear your Aussie roots. Come on. Yeah, like
And-
that's it. Yeah.
And speaking of that, have you and Keith Urban discussed at all duets or anything? I mean, there's a success story in the
I
U.S.
just have to get through Nicole and be like, Nicole, come on.
That's right.
Make a duet with your husband. Come on, please. No, but we have a few connections there, like people that know people. And I've been around Keith a couple of times. He's an amazing human being.
Yeah.
And I have a couple friends in the industry, like Walker Hayes, my next single I wrote with Walker and stuff. So there's a couple people I've thought about maybe doing a duet with. What does come challenging in today's time, any artist that signed a record deal, if you want to do a duet, it's not really up to the artist. It's up to the record label that they're signed to. So it's a little bit trickier when they become a signed artist. Like if Walker Hayes if we could have done a duet 3 years ago when he wasn't signed, but now he's signed, he has to get approval from so many people. So it makes it a little bit more
interesting
challenging.
insight to the industry that I like hearing. I mean, I love learning about that because you're right. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So anyway.
Well, we also have with us today
the cutest little
occasionally
Zoomer daughter.
on the month of Mother's Day, we have a Zoomer daughter, Georgia. Welcome to the Moms Club. Tell us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
And how much you love your mom.
I'm getting to know her mom.
Yes, she is.
Hi,
Nice to meet you. I had a question about how your parents got into the rodeo, being Australians, and is that a big industry or like a thing that they were doing? How did they get into that?
That's actually a really good question. I think both of my parents didn't have a whole lot growing up, and then they realized they could win prize money. So that drove them to learn a skill. And they both were from quite country outback towns. So they just, the boys thought it was fun. They were either like on dirt bikes or riding a bull. It was just adventure.
Did they meet through that medium?
Yeah, they actually did. My parents met at 16. And from what I've heard, my parents were more on the wilder side when they were younger. And then at like 21, they both found Jesus and became like more straight-laced. But yeah, so they met at rodeos and they traveled together a lot. I mean, around the world, rodeoing even at a young age before us kids came along. But my parents really were the ones that that taught me to dream big and that you're going to fail. You just how you pick yourself up from it. They were very supportive with anything that we wanted to do in life, which was nice because there was a lot of crazy ideas that I had, but they were going to let me try it and then probably know I was going to fail at certain things, but weren't going to tell me no. We're going to let me figure that out myself. I actually, growing up, had a disabled sister who was mentally and physically handicapped, so her brain only developed to a 3-month-old. And when she was born, there was only 5 people in the world that had this disability. It's one of those big long names, but so she was 4 years younger than me. So when my parents had my sister, they were at the prime of their rodeoing and doing all their stuff. They had an infant for 18 years. She was meant to live till 5 and she lived till 18.
Wow.
So my parents, they never put her in like public education because obviously like that was just someone to babysit her because she couldn't comprehend anything. But yeah, I mean, I watched my parents give my sister a bottle and wake up 3 times a night for 18 years. So they literally had a newborn for 18 years. So, you know, they missed out on a lot of like things like going to the movies or date nights and stuff, but we never missed out as kids because, like I said, we moved to the US when I was a kid. We traveled the world still. My parents just made it work. Even with my sister being handicapped, they were still going to keep like chasing their dreams and goals. And we all just went with. I remember when I first got into music, both of my parents couldn't come to my events like when I was younger because, a festival's not somewhere you take my sister. It's just not. That would be kind of her. So I had either or of my parents would come to things like that. But, you know, when my sister passed away, I was talking to my mom about it and she said it had been 8. She's like, movie theaters are so different now. It had been 18 years since my parents went to a movie together.
Wow.
So you had a really tremendous example through your parents. I mean, when I first was hearing your story, like, wow, she does all these things. I mean, and just keeps going. And you had a great example for that. Well, tell us a little bit about your single, Take Me Back to Texas.
I love it.
We're
Can't
from
wait to
Texas.
play it for my
Now,
mom.
what part of Texas do you live in? Where do you?
Yeah, so I'm in the country part, not Dallas. I'm close to Fort Worth.
Okay.
So I'm in Weatherford, and we have 60 acres on the Brazos River. And like I said earlier, my husband's a rodeo athlete, so obviously we need land and horses and cattle and so forth. But you know, when I wrote this song, so when I originally was signed in Australia singing, I wore my cowgirl hat on stage in my boots. I was a cowgirl. But when I signed my record deal in the US, my record label wanted me to get rid of the hat and the boots and wear high heels. And they are no fun to walk in, y'all.
No.
Well, you're not used to it anyway. But so when I was writing this song, obviously it was the missing of Texas and my cowgirl roots almost more than like a guy. But obviously I had met my husband, so there was that that part of the love story in the single. But you know, going out and chasing my dreams at 19 and leaving everything behind that I knew that was comfortable to me, and you know, realizing like I'm just, even if I had have really had huge success straight away in Nashville, I think I always would have ended up in Texas because I just felt out of place.
Yeah.
You know, I lived in the city that just wasn't who I was. So this song was written in a place of missing my roots, who I was. At the time, my boyfriend in Texas. You know, it was heartfelt to me. And for me, I've always tried to release my songs have normally been pretty upbeat, just a couple slow songs I've released. And taking that gap from the industry, I didn't really know which of these 10 songs to release first. But this one, for some reason, just said to me, like, this showed the journey I'd been on the last 10 years, and it also showed a more mature side of myself as a songwriter. So I thought it was probably more appropriate to come back into the industry rather than like my next singles like Sexy Cowgirl Fun. But I'm like,
yeah.
And you wrote it with Grammy Award-winning artists as well.
With Jesse. Yeah. But you know, when I wrote this song, here's the thing, which is so cool about Nashville. When I wrote this song, Jesse was just Dean Dillon, who's a famous songwriter, his daughter. She hadn't had hits. We were just songwriting in a room and having a good time as girls. Now seeing how far she's come is just so amazing. I mean, all these singles, even like that next one too, that I wrote with Walker Hayes, like Walker was barely paying his bills and couldn't really even feed his family when we wrote this. Yeah. And no record label wanted him in town, and now he's a superstar. Yeah. So, you know, you always got to keep in mind, you got to be nice to every person in life, because you don't know what the future holds for people that you cross paths.
I think that is incredible advice.
You know what? Everyone that comes on this show, everyone is amazing, as we say here on the Moms Club. And I tell every one of them, you should write a book. You should write a book. Because you've got good,
you've got good stories.
And what you just said is
real
good.
stories.
Like, as you're coming up, you don't know who's going to, like, right next to you, they may, you know.
Listen, I'm grateful you never gave up, because I think you are... the best is yet to come. You know what I mean? So I think that is what we look forward to.
So where can people find you on social media? Like, where can all the moms out there find you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm very involved in social media, and I will just say, I don't know if we're at limit on time or anything, but I will just say, I have like a love-hate relationship with social media.
Sure.
I love it. I know that I just like to tell people that I guess having a daughter that's 9 now, obviously she's not on social media, but I know at one point she will be. Like, there's so much pressure that comes to people from social media because they think what they see on social media is what everybody wakes up looking like and what they do day to day. So they put these people on a pedestal and they judge themselves for what they see in the media. And it is not anything like that. It's just not realistic. I really try to post, like, I try and show the good with the bad, but, I'm on Instagram, it's great. I have, a bunch of followers, so I love catching up with everybody there. I have Facebook, my website and so forth, but just know, like, social media is just not a place to, like, what her body's like is what mine should be like. You don't know if people put yourself through filters and Photoshop, and it's incredible what you see behind the scenes in the industries of, like, if only people knew what they're seeing is not the truth.
I like to take the positivity out of, like, and you know what I mean, all of social media. I agree with you 150%. I love the connection, though, of everything with social media that you can pick up, and you take out, what you can, and you leave the rest, because the rest is not real life. So thank you for saying that. But what is your handle on Instagram? Where do we find you?
Knowing that you're very authentic too, I'm sure people will want to pull it up.
She's like, I'm going to look it up. Yeah.
No, I know what it is. Okay, so it's under Shea Fisher Music is my
great.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I love your single, and I can't wait for more.
Exactly. Yeah. Check out Take Me Back to Texas.
That's right. And I'll be doing that tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah. And we would like to thank our sponsors, New Calm.
Who is it?
New Calm.
I love that.
How do you think
Calm.
We slept so well, or at least I did.
Listen,
last night. 7 hours.
I know I kept you awake last night, but New Calm helped.
Yeah, maybe I need awesome. New Calm because I don't get enough sleep.
Oh, show her what we have. That's a different one. Okay.
Ladies, now take a note. This is extremely important. If you want to sleep, as well as I did last night, which, trust me, I'm just totally rested, then you need to get the New Calm app. And you can also get a 15% discount on every month that you sign up. If you just put Mom's Club in the code at checkout.
Yeah, but New Calm is N-U. I always get this.
Oh, yeah. N-U-C-A-L-M. Exactly right.
Exactly.
So definitely sign up for New Calm. And also, I just want to put a shout out to one of our favorite sponsors as well, Farmhouse Fresh. It's Mother's Day. Go buy your mom's
I love their stuff.
I
buy from there.
We've been to the ranch. We're obsessed with it.
Love it. I love Timescape. It's one of my favorite products, and Make It Melt.
Well, I love what they do. The money they give back and the rescue that they do
animals too.
A lot of animals and a lot of horses.
They are absolutely tremendous.
Yes.
And guess what?
What do you have over there?
I have something. For those of you out there who's tweens, you're like, they probably want to start early in getting their skincare routine, right?
Well, if you want to be like my daughter, youngest, 3 hours in the bathroom.
Skincare line for tweens. So you definitely want to check that out as well, ladies.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had it when I was a tween, but oh well. That ship has sailed, and maybe my grandchildren someday. I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, it has been so much fun, as always, Julie. Oh,
I'm completely inspired.
Well, speaking of social media, we can't fail to mention that we are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and all of that at Inside the Moms Club.
Yes.
Where we do fun videos and show clips from the show and come up with, and Julie's job is to find inspiring quotes to post up there. You won't find any yet because she's not doing her job. No,
that's probably true. I've been a slacker. I admitted it in the beginning of the show.
That's your new job. So look for those as well. Well, we will see you next time, ladies. We appreciate the time that you've spent with us today. We know your me time is precious and valuable. Thank you for spending it with us. Don't forget our motto. Mm-hmm. Our motto is, ladies, if you don't laugh sometimes, you are going to cry. So keep laughing. We will see you next time inside the Moms Club.
All right.
Bye.